Hey, it's your girl Nancy Red, and this is season 3 of Mompreneurs, where every week we celebrate beautiful black entrepreneurs who are simultaneously amazing business moguls and awesome moms. We're listening to their life stories and inspiring advice. Now, there are mompreneurs, and then there are mompreneurs whose companies are recognized as one of the top 100 companies in the United States by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And this week's guest can say that she's one of those, which is so impressive, especially because when she's not killing it as a PR and marketing professional through her award-winning company, the Brand Development Group, where she's the CEO and senior strategist, she's also an author, a travel influencer, which is no surprise since she's also the marketing and operations manager of Uber Soca. And Uber Soca has created the largest Caribbean cruise in the country. There's so much more we need to talk to Jodi Covington about, and we are so glad that she's here. Welcome, Jodi.
Thank you so much for that introduction. When you say it like that, I feel excited and proud. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You, sh- you should feel excited and proud because you know what's really great about what you do is that you could be like, I have a PR marketing firm, but you make this fun. Like you are turning things. I have a PR marketing firm that works with like legal offices, but somehow you are turning this into like glam and glitz and fun and excitement. And I can't wait to hear all about everything that you do.
You know what? I have to keep it fun. I tell people all the time that's like, oh my gosh, you get to do this. And I always tell people, you have to build the life that you want to live, and I've been fortunate enough to, get down and dirty and build the life that I want to live. So I tend to enjoy the clients and the people that I work with on a day to day. And I also tell people, I'm fortunate I'm in a position where I can choose the clients that I work with. And I'm very, very picky because, I don't want anyone to bring any stress to my life. And I also want to work on projects that I'm passionate about and that I can make a real difference in.
Well, you're doing that in so many different ways. And actually, you're not just talking about it, but you've written a lot of this advice in your book, which we'll get to in a little bit. But before we get into your mompreneurship, let's talk about who makes you a mom. Tell us about your household.
Oh my gosh. So I have two beautiful daughters named Amina and Amelia. Amina is 20 years old. Amelia is 15, will be 16 on Sunday, October the 13th. And I also have a bonus daughter from a previous marriage, Samira, who is 23. She's doing fantastic work as well. And they have made me a mom. I actually was in Samira's life when she was one, before having my own daughter. So her and her sister are about 4 years apart, and then my youngest daughter is 4 years from my middle one. So they made me a mom. They made me, who I am today. There's a saying that no kid has the same mom, right? Even if you grew up in the same household. And I find that true to be, I find that to be true with my own situation. Whereas Amina got the rough, the very, very rough, mom. I was poor. I was on food stamps. I was living in the projects in Fayetteville, North Carolina, just struggling to get through school and trying to be the best mom I could be, which I mean, I hope I did a good job, but it was interesting back then. And she had to deal with a mom that really had no idea about how to be a mom. I'm the youngest in my family. I didn't grow up around a lot of kids or, smaller cousins. So when they handed me that baby that came out of my system, that was like one of the first times that I didn't even know how to change her or move. I thought I was gonna break her. She was so little. So she got that version of me. But we were also very close. She was my daughter. She was my little mini me, my little broke bestie, as they say. And she was literally the perfect kid. I mean, I can't even, people say there's no perfect children. I would say that my oldest was perfect for me. All my kids are perfect for me, but my oldest definitely was. I feel like she just came out reading, writing. I feel like she taught herself. Like there's gaps where I'm like, did I teach her that? She's always been very open and honest. Her name means truthful, and she lives by that. So she's been just a joy to raise. All the kids have been a joy, but just specifically my oldest, Amina, has been she's just that mom wants to take care of me. She's like, I'm gonna take care of you, mom. And now she's in college. She's going to Gupton Jones mortuary school, and she's about to graduate in May with her degree in mortuary science. And she loves it. She's just be embalming the bodies, and it's like her thing, you know?
Let me tell you, I can't wait for you to start doing PR for her mortuary hustle. There's money to be made in death. I have had my hand in a couple of different death
Uh-huh.
startups. I'm a big fan.
We
Kudos to
we
you
gotta tell.
for, let me tell you, I love it. But most importantly, what's great about this is just understanding that it's not where you start, it's where you end up. And it's the
Yes.
journey along the way. So, how do we get from Fayetteville projects, which are not a joke, okay,
No joke.
to being one of the top 100 companies named in the USA by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce? Which obviously motherhood came before entrepreneurship, but when did entrepreneurship enter the chat?
Wow, that's deep. How did you get from projects to being one of the top 100 companies in America? That's a question. Woo. It's a long journey. It's been a long journey, and I think that at the height of the journey, again, is my children. I launched my company originally back in 2012. And just if I can take it back one more time, I actually, went on. I graduated from college in 3 years in spite of having a baby. I went on to get a master's degree in psychology with emphasis on marriage and family therapy. I worked in the mental health field for a couple of years. Transitioned to Bermuda to run the low income housing program for the government of Bermuda. And realized when I got to Bermuda back in like 2011, 2012 ish, that what I enjoyed about the mental health field in the United States, I didn't necessarily love it in Bermuda so much. So what I did love was I love the ability to help people start their businesses. So I would go around and help people start their mental health group homes or psychosocial rehabs and the like. And I love that, but I didn't really know what it was called. So I talked to a couple of friends and professional friends that I had, and I was like, hey, I really love dealing with new businesses and startups and strategies. And I'm like, but what is that called? Like, and somebody said you should look into marketing and public relations. And I did. And I do believe in mastering my craft. So I enrolled in another university and got my master's in PR and marketing. And I launched my company back in 2012. Literally, there was a government election in Bermuda, and there was a political party that was brand new, but they were like for the people. It was kind of like just I don't know. They were talking my language, so I kind of knocked on the door. Was like, hey, you don't know me, but I want to help you win this election. And they didn't take me serious at first, but one individual did, and his name was Derek Green. And he said, you're a member of Delta Sigma Theta, you're a black woman, you're a mom, you're doing really well. I would love for you to help us reach the black female vote, the young vote. Let's see what you can do. And he allowed me to get in there and create the strategies that helped them win the election back in 2012. And that was literally the start of, I guess, that level of confidence that I could do this. I could do some great things. And I remember him sitting me down and saying, after we won and, we were celebrating, and him saying like, hey, I'm going to write you a check. I need to send it to a business though. What's the name of your company? And I was just me back then. And, he says, yeah, what's the name of your company? I said, well, I don't have a company. I mean, maybe one day I'll do that. He's like, you need to have a company. Your company is going to be amazing. He's like, you are amazing. Get a company. I'm not paying you until you get yourself established as a company. And I said, well, I don't even know what to call myself. So at the time, my last name was Lewis. So he said, you should call it JD Lewis Group, because you're going to have a lot of people working for you. It's going to be a whole
Oh,
thing. I promise you. And I said, okay, great. JD Lewis Group went and got it established, came back, got my little check, and then started working with the government, the now sitting government. Well, they were sitting back then, and started working on gaming awareness campaigns, getting casino gaming to Bermuda for the community to understand the benefits of that. And projects after projects kind of just came in, and eventually won Best PR Firm, I think in 2015 in Bermuda, and onboarded Uber Soca Cruise. And I actually had another business I don't talk about much, but it was a photo booth business. So actually was very lucrative. But just a lot was happening in 2015, and that kind of led me to on this journey. Went through a divorce in 2015. It was just like a lot. So
The
new business
highs and lows of
highs and
entrepreneurship.
lows of 2020.
Your business flourished, but your marriage not so much.
Exactly, exactly. And motherhood really took you shift, when you have your own business and you have your own aspirations. I think for a while it was more what my felt like my place was to support my husband and my children, but there was like you shift where you have to now support yourself, and that means sometimes being a bit selfish. And my company started really taking off, and I had to travel a lot to do business, and it was the time when the mommy guilt kicked in, and I had to call my mom. But I never really, I'm one of those people, I don't ask people for help, so I never really asked for help, but reached out to my mom and saying, hey, I mean, some things are really happening. Like, I really need your help. Can you move to Bermuda? Can you move back home and help me with these kids? And she was living in Texas at the time, and she did. And,
Aw.
my mom came through and did her thing like she always does. And,
I
uh,
love moms behind the mompreneurs. What would
oh
we
my
do without these ladies? And what's interesting is a lot of people I talk to, they have a baby and they literally can't work. And so they end up needing to start a business out of the necessity of not wanting or being able to pay for daycare. You were a little different because your girls were like people in these streets by the
yeah.
time you became an entrepreneur. How old, if I'm
Well,
doing if the math, how old were your daughters when you started first after you graduated with your degree in PR and marketing and you started with your first client right before you started your J. Lewis Group
they
business?
were about 4 or 5, and 7, 8 maybe when I started.
So
Um,
they were in recital time,
yes,
gymnastics lessons
correct.
time,
Yes,
mommy, I got friend drama time,
yep, yep.
and
Time,
you're like, I'm trying to build our future. That's a clash.
yes. It is. It was definitely was a clash, and it's a clash that it I don't know. It took a toll on me for a while, but then it's like I spent so many years catering to everyone kind of in my life and making sure that everybody else was okay, that I had to kind of have that self-reflection moment and ask, like, what is it that I want, and what am I willing to do, and how can I maintain a beautiful relationship with my children while still focusing on the things that I want to do as well. And sometimes that's a struggle for a lot of women. And I think that the secret, or the thing that helped me, was being very honest with my children. I'm fortunate that my children were at an age and a intelligence level to understand that mommy has to work, and I set them down quite early to talk about the importance of finances and what we needed to get what they wanted, and I can't do that sitting here. I can't do that doing all the traditional things that moms will do. And so they understood very early that mommy had to travel. But I was fortunate enough that my travel was 2, 3 days. It was a lot, but it was 2, 3 days here, 4 days back. So they totally, and it got to the point where they just would be like, "Go get a mom." It was they were
That's great.
rooting me on.
That's the beauty of it. They went from to go get it, mom. Talk about the importance of that because a lot of people listening are a little nervous. Well, my kids need me, which is totally true. But they
Right.
also need you as a role model, and they also need the financial security because you might not have been able to bake the cookies for the PTA, but you can pay for that class trip.
Exactly. The entire trip. I got it. Every kid's on me. Exactly. So you have to really define what type of mother you want to be. And there's nothing wrong with the moms that do the cookies and remember all the dates. I'm the mom that I will forget if you don't remind me that school was out next week. I'm the mom that has the kids in the parking lot and school's not even open because I just forgot. Like that's me, right? But if they need something, if the school needs something, if they need a whole thing for the track club, that I am that girl to go to. And that's how I have chosen to support my children. And they love it and they respect it and they feel proud of the things that I've done. And the things that I've done is a direct reflection of, how they've supported, it's things that we have done as a family, as a household. I always tell moms that I talk to that have younger kids too, like, get your kids involved. let them know what their role is in the house. My job is to go out and pay these bills, right? My job is to make sure that there's food on the table, that you guys have everything that you need and at least some of what you want, a lot of what you want. And your job is to, one, not stress me out. What I say to them, do not interrupt my piece. Because if my piece is interrupted, everyone's piece is going to be interrupted. But also, your job is to go to school, is to get good grades, is to use your brain and make good decisions, is to let me know when you need my support. It's to, don't come in the room, interrupt my meetings if you need to. You are a priority and you are number one. But meet me halfway. And my kids, they have respected and honored that. They've owned their role and their position within the household, and it's been great, as they, kick in and do their part to make sure that things continue to flow well.
I love that. So, okay, it's been about 12 years since J. Lewis Group was founded on a whim and a knock on a door.
Yes.
Your businesses have gone through some iterations since then. Walk us through your current, what I like to call your current hustle hierarchy. Where does most of your business income come from? Because the J. Lewis Group is now
The brand development group. Yes, absolutely. So about 3 years ago, so this is the thing, and this is some good business advice, I think, for the listeners. So the thing is, I named my company after myself, and what I realized is everybody wanted to just do with me. And so as I expanded my team, no matter how good my team was, they're like, well, can you have Jodi call me? Oh, is Jodi not going to be in the meeting? I need Jodi in the meeting. And I think that it hit me one day that, like, maybe that's because my name is on the door. Like, I didn't want that. Like, I wanted to build a company with professionals that, I didn't want to be the only one that people called on. So, in going through that process, I went through my own rebranding. I met my current business partner, Christopher Barrow, and he had a graphic design and web agency, and we decided to come together, merge those two businesses. So, instead of just picking up his name or my name, we rebranded as the brand development group and implemented a more holistic suite of services. So you can bring us your vision and we bring that completely to reality. So some companies focus specifically on just social media or just marketing or just, websites or just graphic design, just this, but we're holistic. So you can bring us your ideas, your concept, no matter what stage your business in, and you don't have to worry about subcontracting a web designer or someone to do with your socials. We kind of do it all in-house, and that's kind of the gap that the brand development has filled, specifically within the Caribbean diaspora. The African American market is our niche. But we do it in a way that, like you mentioned, is fun and it's exciting. We tend to take on cases and or clients that are doing some pretty dope things. So, some of them just need that help to get what they're doing out into the public domain, and that's what we specialize in.
And it's one of the things that actually historically has been a big problem in the African American community, getting the publicity, getting through the doors, getting the eyeballs from the people who could possibly be their clients or supporters. And talk about talk about the education that goes into this, because with a lot of it, it's like, well, why are you so expensive? Why do I need to pay for PR and marketing? Like, I can just put up a Facebook page
Right.
or, like everything. But it's much more complicated than that. It's much more important and integral to a company's genuine development.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's very complicated. And I will say that if you look at any major business, the number one cost is human resource, the number two is marketing. Right? If nobody knows what you're doing, then they cannot, they don't know how to purchase your product. If they don't know how to effectively communicate, if it don't resonate with your brand and the things that you offer, the environment, your integrity, what you stand for, your brand story, if you don't know how to effectively communicate that and get it out there, then you might as well close up shop. And in today's world, we have the algorithm, right? And you think it's as easy as let me chuck up an Instagram page and Facebook page. These pages or these platforms are designed to make money. So if you're not actually putting money into the algorithm and making sure that the algorithm helps you find new clients and customers. Same with Google. I think people think that these things exist just so you can get free business. No, Google has AdWords. Google, the algorithm and the search engine optimization is critical in advancing your business and getting you to the next level, especially if you don't have the time to be out everywhere every day knocking on doors or giving off flyers, what we call guerrilla marketing, and you want to streamline that process. You want to look at someone that is an expert at strategizing for your business. And that's where I think people go wrong. A lot of people that come to us like they've started their business, they've gone a couple years, they haven't seen the success that they want to, and they're like, I feel like I need to do some marketing. And we start looking at it, they actually have no plan. And I teach a class called Invest in Planning, and it's about strategic planning. And I teach people how to actually do a plan. Even if you don't want to use a marketing professional, please invest in understanding how to effectively plan out how to reach your goals and objectives. You even talk with business owners that you say, what are your goals? I want to make $1 million. Okay. How? Like what specifically do you need to get there? How you want to make $1 million, what, in 6 months, a year, 12 years? The strategy on how to get there, and how do you want to break up that 12? Do you want to make, 500,000 in retail sales? Do you want to specifically, how do you want to achieve that goal? So, it's very important to understand that marketing is a discipline. You have to go to school to get it. Not everybody knows it. The painter that paints a beautiful picture may not know how to promote and market and advertise that picture. The baker,
but you don't know how to paint. Here's the thing. Exactly. Jodi, can you paint a picture? No. But
I can do a little something, but I can't. No, I'm not a Picasso or none of them people, right? So I know my lane.
yeah, you know your lane. And also, one of the things that I think is really interesting about what you do, so you have many different layers here. You provide PR marketing services for a variety of places. And I think one of the things you do really well is you have enough niches so that no well runs dry. But you also are in niches. In our community, one of the things that's very important is it's not always the sexy markets where you make the money, right? Like many millionaires have been made in the Black community with janitorial businesses, owning parking lots, all of these types of things, right? And what I love, if you look at Jodi's portfolio of clients, I love the fact that you have this very specific niche of law firm PR. Yes. Which is so great for so many reasons. Because one, you're doing a great job helping a lot of different cases get seen, get eyeballs, get laws changed. I want to talk a little bit about that. But also, one thing that people listening to this, there in many fields, including the legal field, are rules and regulations about advertising. Yep. So you have a lot of lawyers just going on TikTok or going on something and be like, my law firm's great. In some states, that's illegal.
Yes. Absolutely. You're knocking it right out the park. You've done your homework. We have a service that we provide called, I've coined legal case amplification, and it specifically deals with civil rights cases, wrongful death cases, medical malpractice cases, and the like. And you're right. We actually teach a legal PR marketing class to law professionals. Because the National Bar Association or the Florida Bar Association, they have very specific rules on how you are allowed to market, solicit, and obtain your clients. For example, you are not allowed, if some traumatic situation happens, you're not allowed to go up to a client and say, hey, I can represent you. That's actually illegal to do. That client has to reach out to you, or you have to be introduced, and they have to ask you your services. So you can't.
But it's done all the time. Ambulance chasers. That's what they call them. They literally watch an ambulance. They go to the house with the fire, or they go to the car crash. They start handing out cards.
They are not. That is illegal to do. So there's those rules and regulations that we make sure that our lawyers know and understand. And we also have a class that we teach around implementing AI into your legal practice. So that's a whole thing right now that our CTO Chris teaches to lawyers as well. But then we get into the legal case amplification. That's really like strategic planning and marketing specifically for legal cases.
What's so great about that is that, again, a good lawyer, I'm going to argue, is not the kind of person who's thinking about their public image. They're thinking about their client, right? And because of your involvement with certain cases, you've literally gotten laws enacted and changed because of you working hand in hand with the client. For example, tell us about the law on behalf of a young girl in Florida, for example.
Mia Marcano. So Mia Marcano, that particular case, I always get emotional speaking about it. Unfortunately, this young lady, beautiful, beautiful young lady, was murdered in her apartment by the maintenance man that used his key fob to enter in the building. When I got the call to support that family, it was because there were so many media kind of reaching out about this case. At the time, they were looking for her. And so they just they needed some help with managing all the media, and they didn't want kind of random friends, family, just just jumping on the on the camera saying stuff that hasn't been approved or said. So, I got involved with initially assisting with that. Once I learned the details, I introduced the family to a very well known attorney, Daryl K. Washington, and I introduced the family to that attorney, and
Legally in the correct way, the
way.
way one is supposed to
Absolutely.
handle these sensitive and awful situations.
Absolutely. And then I worked in partnership with the attorney to make sure that that case was heard, make sure that their daughter's name wasn't forgotten. We unfortunately didn't recover Mia alive. So then it became a case of what happened, why did it happen, who was responsible, and how do we make sure that they are held responsible for this tragedy. And so we began a awareness campaign. The strategy there, which was very easy, was to ensure that every single household in America and throughout the world saw Mia as being their daughter. It was the worst nightmare for any parent, to send your daughter off to college, to do your due diligence, to go and inspect the apartment that she stayed in, to put locks on her windows, to arm her with the maces and the pepper spray, to ensure that she was well connected with her family, which she was, spoke of her brother and her family every single day, her grandparents and the like. And then for a tragedy like this to happen is everybody's worst nightmare, every parent's worst nightmare. So we wanted to make sure that people knew who Mia was, that they knew who her family was. This wasn't a situation where they dropped the ball in some way, some fashion. They did everything right, and this happened by the pure neglect of the apartment complex and their inability to do certain background checks, their inability to make sure that whom they hired was in good standings and didn't have felonies on their background check. So we realized that there was a gap somewhere from a legal perspective. And fortunately, we were able to connect with the senator there and Representative Barniman, who had previously written a bill around home tenant safety and security, but it wasn't able to kind of get past the Senate. And we aligned with her and we built a strategy to get a yes vote on the Senate floor. And unanimously, it was voted yes, and went over to the House, was voted yes there, and then was enacted into law in the state of Virginia, signed by the Governor DeSantis himself. And then we actually then worked to get it signed in the state of Virginia as well. So Florida and Virginia came on board and signed this law, this bill into law in under a year. So this was a massive, massive, massive kind of case that we took on, and it included every single element of PR, marketing, web. We helped the family start a foundation. We did fundraising events. We helped find other missing individuals. We made sure that there were resources. We made sure that if you had a loved one missing, that you knew exactly what to do. We challenged the police department. We challenged the different homeowners associations and multi-unit executives in this, and it was a lot, but it was well worth it. And as much as we do to make sure that it doesn't happen to anyone else, it will never take away the pain from that family. The family and I are still quite close. Mia's mom lives down the road from me, and we connect daily. Her father is actually a DJ, and he's actually a DJ on the cruise that I help produce, and that's how
Oh
they
my goodness, full circle.
full circle moment. That's how that's how they knew me. They knew how I operated, and I was able to help that family. We were able to get their case on CNN and Lifetime and Discovery Channel and every single news platform out there. I think over 300 media hits, specifically to help get that law passed and help, bring some sense of peace, but no sense of understanding, because this was a complete tragedy. So this family is still suffering and struggling. They just went through the 3-year anniversary of the loss of their daughter back in September. So that was definitely a case, and we work other cases that are similar. And it is a passion of mine. I was telling one of the producers before we got started, my first degree was criminal justice. I intended to work for the
Okay, well,
FBI.
Steph, how many degrees do you have? Because you had the first degree in criminal justice, you have your master's in PR and marketing. Are these the
Yes,
degrees?
I have two master's degrees and one bachelor's, so a lot of students.
Okay, wait. Okay, but you know what? That's why, yeah, that's why you're so layered and multifaceted and capable of doing all these things. And one of the things that they always say, if you want something done, ask a mom. When we look at how quickly, anyone who understands the political landscape, getting anything passed in a couple of years, 3 years, is very difficult. So bringing in, how do you think being a mom and being a PR marketing person as a mother, how do you think that colors the work that you do and the effectiveness that you have?
I think that me being a mom it aligns perfectly with what I do. With every single person that I work with every how I enter a building, how I enter a space, I enter it in a way of someone that needs to get something done, just like a mom every single day, And I think that ultimately with getting the laws passed and being a mom and putting myself in the mother's shoes that had lost her daughter, couldn't completely, right? But helping to tell that story, from a mom's perspective to parents, I think made all the difference in how we were able to effectively communicate that specific situation. But being a mom and juggling so much with the day to day has definitely helped me juggle so much in my work domain for sure.
And also being the person you are and having overcome so much, which is an inspiration. A lot of people listening, many people are at different stages of their business journey. Some of them are where you were when you first started, trying to figure out what's going on with this kid, with one,
Yeah.
some of them are struggling, like, are they spending too much time on their business? Should they spend more time with their children? And one of the things that you've done is you've written a book entitled Stop Hurting Yourself,
Yes.
which is to help people heal. Because being a mom, being an entrepreneur, being all of these things, sometimes it's hard to forget we're human.
Yes, it is hard to forget. And because of my background in mental health, I think I wanted to write a book to help explain what, like, the power of the mind, and how we are hurting ourselves by living in very distorted versions of reality. And it's literally what I call a superpower of the mind, right? Our mind's job is to make sure that we do not suffer, right? So when things happen that are overwhelming for us to consume, mentally, the brain has a power of kind of distorting it, making it not as bad as it looks, and it actually is pretty bad, right? And you start to maneuver in places that, in my opinion, there's a bit of a distortion. So you have the friend that's in the horrible relationship, the domestic violence relationship, and the guy is really, beating her, or even the woman is beating the man. I don't want to be discriminatory in that, and you're like, why do you stay? And they're like, oh, it's not that bad, or he really loves me, he just gets upset sometimes, and this and a third, and they really have created this place in their mind that has accepted that as their truth, right? And ultimately, after a while and learning, after a while, you start to hurt yourself. You start to put people on pedestals that they don't deserve to be on. You start to stay in situations that you need to get out of. So this book really is addressing and explaining the power of the mind. And if I may, I start with one of my former clients when I worked in that space. And she had very severe schizophrenic disorder. And she would come into my office, and she would come in a new person every day. And one day she would be a pilot, or somebody that, saved somebody on the plane. She did heart transplant on the plane. It was always these elaborate stories of who she believed that she was to be. And I remember in my kind of immaturity in my when I first got out of college, I thought my job was to bring her into my reality. Like, girl, that's not true. You are not these things. But after doing some research and working with my different mentors, I realized, like, she had such a horrible life. Her real story was that she was thrown away as a little girl. She was literally put in the trash. She had gone through numerous foster care situations. She had been raped. She had been abused. Her story was literally horrible, and what her brain did was recreate the story and gave her versions of a story that allowed her to function in this world. And who was I to tell her that she, had to let go of these stories? That is how she got through her day. Now, that is someone that has severe mental illness. And that was the basis of my story. So I started to think, now, for people that are considered normal, if we can define normality, do we do the same thing? Do we, in our own way, distort reality to feel better? Do we tell ourselves that it's not as bad as it is, so we feel better, so we end up living in a space that actually causes us to harm ourselves even more? So that's the book that I wrote, Stop Hurting Yourself.
Well, and for one, that's extremely powerful and very important. And it's so important that we share our stories because hearing people who we relate to, yeah, it is so key and crucial. And knowing that we're not alone with these weird thoughts, like, wait, is this fine? Is this not fine? I don't know. And also coming up with some solutions. It's important to find the joy. Like we started this conversation, I was like, you have a lot of fun with everything you do. Now, is some of this stuff on a horrible topic, but you're having fun making a difference. Fun is very different in different ways. You feel complete, you feel good. But then sometimes fun is like fun.
Right.
And I love the fact that you do not have boundaries when it comes to your entrepreneurship. You got my PR law firm, I got my book and my travel influencer. And also, what is this that you are doing with these cruises? Like, how are you killing the cruise game and the PR marketing game? What is going on?
I was fortunate enough to be broached by a gentleman by the name of Nathaniel Turner. He's the CEO and founder of a company called Uber Soca Cruise. He literally came in my office and says, like, "Hey, I want to throw a cruise," and I thought it was a joke. I thought he did pay his consultation fee, so I was like happy with that. But after that, I was like, this guy has got to be nuts, right? Because he was talking about chartering an entire cruise ship. Like, who has the money to do that? I was so confused by what he wanted me to do. And it's a funny story because I said, listen, like, after I came to terms of what he wanted me to do, or what he wanted us to do, I said, I don't know if I like what if we don't sell this thing out? Like, that's a lot of tickets to sell. It's high price tickets and high price cabins. And he says, wow. He looked around the room, and it was another our other colleague, Daniel Rees. He says, if we don't sell out, I've already paid for the boat. There's going to be the three of us on it. So I was like, this guy is crazy. But, in that particular client, and now what I call family, they're now family of mine, we got in there. We worked some 18 hours a day to make that vision a reality. Anywhere from traveling to promotions to operations to dealing with the ship to dealing with like in-depth ship stuff. Like, I know so much about the cruise ship industry and how it operates and runs. But yeah, no, that was insane. And we were unknown. It's not like this is a soca theme. So if you're familiar with soca music, it's the music of the Caribbean. It stems from Trinidad. It's the soul of Calypso, is what soca stands for. And if you're not from Trinidad or another island that's known for soca music and has like the big soca artists coming out of it, you're pretty much you're almost a joke in the industry, if that, used to be, and so we were these unknown people from Bermuda, one of the smallest islands, and we wanted to throw a soca event. And I think initially people didn't really think we could pull it off, but in that first year, although we didn't sell out, so this is not one of those superpower stories where you just knock it out the park in first year. We did not. We lost heavily in the first year, but what we did do for the 1,500 people that did come, we created a amazing experience. It was intimate, it was beautiful, and it was the vision, we painted the vision for the entire community, the diaspora and around the Caribbean. And I think that when we did that, people are like, oh, these people are serious. So year two, we did better than year one. Year three, we sold out. Year four, we increased to two back-to-back sailings. We sold out the first ship and did about 90% on the second ship. And then the next year, we sold out both sailings within 10 days. And then 2020, we had two even larger ships, 7,200 people. We sold out in 3 days, 7,200 people. It was unbelievable. And this thing is not your average cruise ship. We delete the ship programming. It's our programming from data. It's 24-hour programming. It's 80 soca artists and DJs from around the world. Every single island is represented, and we have over 66 events on board, including 2 land events. We go to new destinations every year. So we're not like some of the other charters where they do the Bahamas and Jamaica's every single year. Love those islands. This is no slight to those. But we do a new destination every single year. And the amount of logistics that it takes to deal with almost 200 internal like artists, DJs, managers, staff, production, security, EMT, and then managing 2 large land events. Last year we went to St. Thomas and had in between 15,000 to 19,000 people that joined our event in St. Thomas, in addition to the 3,500 people that we brought to the island. So it is a massive, massive undertaking, but it has been so fun. And I will say that the clients, again, our success is our clients, is our clients, that they have been such a joy to work. Now, I get upset. I'm the only female in the group, so we do have our battles, but it's been a joy to work with them to build this the way that we've built it. And we remain so humble. We call it the USC family. Once you travel with us, you become a part of the USC family, the Upa Soca Cruise family. And it really is that family, that fraternity and sorority of entertainers that come on and give it their own beautiful take. They're interacting with the fans, or it's just a beautiful moment in the Caribbean. So I can go on all day about Uber Soca.
Well, we don't want to get back though. We gloss over this. So here's what happens, and this is what I think is great about having time to really talk about. I'm really glad everyone has heard this trajectory, because we see the success now. We see the giant cruise, blah, blah, blah. It could have all stopped with the little sad 1,500 person cruise where the money was. How much money was lost that first year?
I cannot even begin to tell you, but it was multiple zeros.
Multiple zeros, right?
Multiple zeros.
At this point, many people would have been like, I just this was not in the cards. I
Yeah.
do not have it in me. I guess I'm not a cruise
Yeah.
success. How do we get from there to here? Like how do you gird your loins and put your big girl panties on and around as the only female in this at that, right?
Yeah.
How?
You have to believe in you have to believe in your vision. And you
Did
have
you have
to
to fight for it really quickly? Did you have to say we need to do this again?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It was a fight, and it was a fight, and it was a commitment, and it was a belief, right? Because technically I'm not the owner of that, right? So it was also ensuring the owner, my client, that I had his back. Although this was a hard loss, you got me. And when I get in the trenches with my clients, my friends, my family, I am in there with you. And no matter what needs to happen, this cruise will sail again. And I am just so grateful that he had the fortitude and the belief in myself and the greater brand development group team to want to stick in. And I think that if you ask him the same question, I believe that he will say it is, the team that helped encourage this, and the people that came and rallied behind him to push him to continue. I mean, just when you thought it was bad, then 2020 COVID hits. The cruise ship industry,
cruise drama.
the cruise ship industry took a hit and was the last industry to return. So from 2020 to 2023, we were completely dead. We had to issue refunds. It was the worst, So you did so well. 2020, we sold out. It was so great. And then all of a sudden, this pandemic hits, and you're then the wind is completely knocked out of you, And then it's, do we continue? Like, I think that was the question, like, okay, guys, it's been a year. We're not back yet. we can't keep sitting around, and even I have a business, so I'm like, I can't keep sitting around and waiting. Maybe I need to go find some other clients. But I had so much faith in the return of Uber Circle Cruise. We actually pivoted. We did a lot of virtual events. We had our entertainers come on and did a lot of virtual events. So we did a little pivot there, but then it got hard. 2021 kicked in, and 2022, we said, we're going to go out in 2023 because 2022 was still a little iffy with cruising. And so we started back in 2022 planning for 2023, and we went out in 3 different sailings. We did 3 sailings in 2023 to make up for 3 years we lost. But we did 3 sailings. We went once in April. We went to 3 destinations, and then we went twice in November, back-to-back sailings. So to answer your question, the fight, the sweat, the tears, the pressure, the anxiety, the fear of failure. And this is not failure like, oh, I failed. This is like losing everything that you have, all of your financial, potential of losing family. Like, it's literally saying that I may lose everything, but I believe so much in this product. And it actually takes me back to a time where I had a different business idea years ago, and it was a great idea, and I reached out to a potential investor, and he loved the idea, and he said to me, he says, "Oh, this is great. How much of your money are you putting up for this?" I didn't have any money. I just had great ideas. I was broke back then. So I was like, "What do you mean? You own like this huge weapon company, like you're the investor, like you give me the money and I bring this all to reality." And he was just like, I had to, and this is a lesson for me. He says, I had to tap into my 401k, all of my savings, all of my wife's savings, and everything. We had to refinance our house several times to make this company what you see today. So he says a lesson to learn is if you have no skin to bring to the table, like, you have to feel it. You have to know that this is everything. When you're willing to put everything into an idea, and everything into an idea, that's when like that, that's when you're going to work so much harder not to lose it. I didn't have anything to lose. If this guy funded he would take the loss. I would just be like, oh, I'm sorry, it didn't work out. Like, you want to make sure if you have something to lose, you're going to fight for it even harder.
It's so key and so valuable. And one of the things that's really interesting about you, each of your story begins with this person, and you name drop, you have receipts.
I
You're
do.
like, they believed in me. They
Yeah.
believe in me. What is your advice? Because how many of us are just like, I have this great situation. I have so many talents and skills. If only I could get someone to believe in me. If only I could get someone to give me a chance, right? That's really what you need to get your business off the ground a lot of times, is that one big chance. What's your advice to someone? How do you present yourself? Why do you think these people with way too much to lose, with all this money, they are investing in you as the person who's going to get their situation straight? What is your advice on giving that off, on carrying yourself like someone who's worthy of being trusted?
Whew, I've never been asked that question before. I would start with the cushy
But
stuff.
really quickly, wouldn't you argue that's a key aspect of this? Because you can't do anything if no one's willing to invest.
Agreed. And I think that for me, I would say that for me, what has been important for me is proving myself. Stop expecting to walk in a room, pitch an idea, and get $1 million. I think, like, maybe once in a blue moon that happens to people. That doesn't happen to me. I really have taken the time to work to master my crafts, but also prove myself. People don't know you. They don't know your capabilities, and get in there with people and show them that you understand. Look, I'm a business owner, so I'm not trying to. I know what it feels to lose. My business pays for my mortgage. My business pays for my children's college and education. So I know what it is to not want to lose, and I think that I have always presented as someone that you want to have on your team in the war zone. I'm the one that's going to strap on and I'm going out in front line with you. I'm not sending you out there by yourself. We're going out there together. And if you need me to step up and be out there in front of you, then that is what I'm going to do. But I think it is a matter of showing and telling, not just telling. Show your capabilities, say the things that you have done, prove that you can be trustworthy, and that takes time. I mean, even hiring people for me takes time to really be like, okay, I don't know if this is gonna work out. It takes time to build trust with people, but also know that if you have a good brand, and I'm saying brand from a company perspective, but if you have a good um, personal brand, if you're not out there causing havoc, if you people can look you up and know that you are of sound character, work on those things. That's been a key for me. There's nothing that you can Google that's going to say Jodi has done anyone wrong, that Jodi has, manipulated, lied, cheated, all these things. So, I mean, I find that my clients trust me. um, they trust me, and then also they see the work that I've done, right? So they know I'm capable. They know I'm capable. They know that we can get it done. So I think that the biggest thing is mastering your craft, know yourself, have great character, and show. Don't just tell people. Don't and I get this all the time too. This is peppy of mine because I have people that's like, oh, I have a plan. Oh, I have a business that I'm doing, but they have no plan. And they're like, yeah, I want to find an investor. I'm like, do you have a deck? Do you have an investor deck? Like, what does the investor get if they invest in your business? And they're always like, wow, I haven't thought through that yet. I'm like, let's let's like believe in your business enough to take out a loan and hire someone that can help you figure it out. Don't just always expect things to free. Saying that, there are resources, there are small business development agencies, there's a lot of your chamber, there's a lot of resources out there that can help you for the most part with getting yourself going. But
And specifically, that actually is very helpful because, yeah, in the same way when you went to the weapons dude, you're like, I got this idea. And he's like, what's your skin? I was like, this is my skin.
right.
It's skin 30. I don't actually have any bread, but I got skin. For those people who are thinking, well, that's me, you mentioned the Chamber of Commerce, which has now recognized you. Hoo-hoo. You mentioned small business. There's SCORE, SCORE, which is retired business owners help for free. Are there any other resources that you think our audience should look for in their communities or nationwide to help them get their business off the ground?
It's to be on. There's so many that I can rattle off. And it says, and as a quick Google search, there are businesses. If you're a Hispanic, if you're a Black woman, if you're, if there's so many different organizations to help. Fearless funding. There's so many different organizations that can help you out there. It is a Google search in 2024.
It is a Google search, yes, this is true. And like when we had to tell people, they might just have to go to the third page of Google. You
Yes,
just keep
sure.
Googling,
Yes,
just
yes, yes,
keep sifting through and
yes,
pay nobody unless it's
yes.
Jodi.
And like,
All right, wait. Our time is almost up, but I can't let you leave without participating in my favorite segment, which I call Mompreneurs Manifestation.
okay.
Mompreneurs Manifestation is where I ask each guest what's next for you or what you're hoping comes next, and how can we help to manifest success in this endeavor for you?
Oh, I love that. It's a beautiful question. So I'm hoping, I'm going to speak from a mom perspective and then from a business perspective. From a mom perspective, I am hoping and manifesting joy, peace, success, self-worth for my daughters. They're at very, very critical ages where, my oldest is transitioning and will go off, on her own to the world. I say that loosely because I feel like she's gonna always be with me. But like I'm manifesting joy, and I'm manifesting that they learn the things that I've learned a lot earlier, the things that I'm learning at 35 and now 40. I want them to learn at 16 and 20. I want them to have the level of love for themselves. I want them to be unapologetically themselves. I want them to be able to understand their worth and their value, and not to waver to things that life will have waiting for them. So I'm manifesting that for my children, that they take the time to discover who they are early, and walk in their beauty over the next couple of years of their life. And from a business perspective, I would love to see the brand development group global, in that while we do have global clients, I would like to see divisions in specific locations like Southeast Asia. I would love to see a brick and mortar with a team in multiple jurisdictions around the world. So although we work kind of digitally mostly and we're traveling a lot, I'd love to have a team that specifically focuses on different regions, because different regions require different types of marketing and the like, different pricing and the whole 9 yards. So that is what I'm manifesting for the brand development group, and to continue to do great work for our clients, continue to elevate our clients to places that they dreamed about elevating, to continue to see them win awards, to continue to see them pass laws, to continue to see them, reach and exceed their revenue goals. That is what I'm manifesting, because again, the success of the brand development group is really the success of our clients.
I love that. Okay, Jodi, tell us where everyone can find you and learn more about the work that you do, learn more about your book and everything else.
Absolutely. So you can just visit us on thebranddevgroup.com. Our social media handles are at branddevgroup, just the shorten of development group. So brand.group everywhere. Of course, my personal Instagram is Jodi D. Covington. You can check me up there. I have all my travel stuff there. I probably need to do a better job of putting more on there, because I've been to like 43
Well, so
countries.
you're too busy PRing and marketing for everybody else. It's like the contractor with the raggedy house.
Exactly, the auto dealer, but he has his cars messed up. Yes, that's me. I need someone to do the same thing for myself. But yeah, my focus is definitely on our clients. But check out, all of our social media pages. We would love to connect with you guys if you have any questions, if you're interested, especially the moms out there. Of course, I have an affinity for you. I understand exactly what that means to be a mom in business. And there's been a lot of days that I have cried. I have been on trips to Grenada in front of the Minister of Tourism, and my kids are calling and my mom is calling and they're fighting back at home. And I'm literally stepping out in tears because I don't know how to juggle being this professional woman in this room and having to talk to my family. So I get it. I understand. And I want to honor all of you out there that's doing that.
Oh, I love you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
You heard her, everyone. Thank you so much for listening and watching Mompreneurs. As a reminder, a brand new episode goes live each Monday on Urban One Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit urban1podcast.com to learn more. That's urban1podcast.com. Mompreneurs is brought to you by the Urban One Podcast Network and MadameNoire. Created, produced, and hosted by me, Nancy Red. Executive produced by Allison McGovna and Tanya Hoffler-Moore. Produced and edited by Jiminique Miller.